This is Michael Mortati giving his speech on my topic is bullying. My general purpose is to persuade, and my specific purpose is to persuade that bullying is a necessary evil. Today, almost anyone you speak to about bullying has a very strong opinion and has most likely had an experience with it or knows someone who has. Bullying is a huge topic of controversy today, and there are good arguments on both sides. I'm here to persuade you that although bullying is wrong and in many cases cruel, its presence is a necessity for youth of all ages. Many people argue that bullying is only damaging to children and something that only puts kids down and makes them think less of themselves. And makes them think less of themselves and cannot possibly be in anyone's best interest. But my goal is to persuade you into believing that those people are wrong. My first point is protagonist versus antagonist story arcs. Typical story structure in the past, previous to 2000s, has been a protagonist working towards personal growth and an antagonist working against their current interest. The antagonist typically in a story has the effect of initiating the growth in the protagonist through struggle. There are many examples of this in cinema and television, such as Hey Arnold, Black Panther, and Braveheart. It's for all ages, from children to teen to adults. In Hey Arnold, Arnold's character is bullied by Helga, but the audience is shown the bullying is out of love and not hate, and throughout the story we see most of the deflections come from Helga's home life. We also see both characters go through separate development, which lead them both to adopting more mature, adult-like ways of handling conflict. In Black Panther, we see the protagonist T'Challa struggle with how to run his nation, and through the conflict with the antagonist, his cousin Killmonger, he becomes a stronger and wiser leader. In the movie, we also see the protagonist come to realize that right and wrong are not diamond absolutes, and that even though the antagonist, his cousin's methods are wrong, his general goals are right. My second point is that bullying depictions the differences between the past and in today's culture. One example of how bullying is being poorly represented in today's culture is 13 Reasons Why. This show is centered around a teen suicide and how every person in her life is responsible for her eventual suicide. Through 13 tapes, it depicts bullying as something that is inevitable and cannot be overcome, and even glorifies suicide. The show tries to say that one person is responsible for another's choices, and the supposed protagonist has absolutely no blame or responsibility for their own suicide. The show poorly represents the general bully as a pure evil antagonist with no depth, conflict, or redeemable qualities, and that's just not realistic to what actually happens in today's society and sends a very poor and dangerous message to youth who may be struggling with bullying. The third example is based on personal experience. In today's culture, when we are too hard on bullying, it leads to coddled children with entitlement complexes and who have no problem-solving skills. In today's cultural climate, I can say that from my own personal experience, that most of today's media depictions of bullying is completely inaccurate and lacks substance which was found in older movies and television shows. In real life, many people deal with bullying, and although it may be incredibly difficult to overcome, we come out of it as stronger, better, and more mature people who now know how to deal with difficult and confrontational people. These are skills that are very important for adults to have in order to function properly and independently in society. With the eradication of bullying, we are already seeing masses of people who were coddled their entire childhood as a result have no problem-solving skills, incredibly overinflated egos, and simply expect the world to bend to accommodate them. Purging of bullying in today's society has made its victims weak and has robbed them of the knowledge of how to deal with bullying themselves. In no way am I saying that bullies are good people, but they are a necessity, and if we are as individuals, we're encouraged more to deal with it ourselves instead of outsourcing it to an authoritative figure like a parent or a teacher or a principal, then bullying would not be such an issue and instead contribute to society by making people more independent and strong and tougher in terms of how much conflict they can take and direct attacks.